Paul, you just handed me something. Is this has to do with Deshaun Watson? Is this from 5 months ago, I believe? By the way, anniversary, I think it's 5 months tomorrow that Deshaun Watson signed his 4-year contract extension. But I don't know what happened here. Like, what changed? Because he says everything. I'm lost for words, honestly. Been crying a little bit. A lot of bit, really. It's just an amazing moment for me, Deshaun Watson said. The money is amazing. It's life-changing. It's great. Biggest thing is for the organization to just trust in me and believe in me that I'm their guy. I'm their quarterback. That's the biggest thing that really touches me. Well, something's changed in the last 5 months. Yes, Paulie?
Yeah, 5 months ago tomorrow, he got $111 million in guaranteed money. They signed him a year early, a 4-year contract extension, Deshaun Watson and the Texans.
Was it a year or 2 years earlier?
He had 2 years left on his rookie deal.
Okay.
The new pack gets him to 2025. The $40 million per year average in new money makes Watson the second highest paid player in the history of the sport behind Mahomes. And that was 5 months ago tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here. But he thanks everybody in the entire McNair family, the owners, Coach O'Brien, Jack Easterby, the whole Texans organization for helping me make my dream a reality. Special thank you to all my teammates, past and present, for believing in me and helping me grow as both a player and a person. I'll go down to the last paragraph. Last but certainly not least, thank you to the best fans in the NFL. I promise to do everything I can to not only bring a championship to this great city, but also leave a legacy of helping positively impact this community. Now back to the work, Deshaun Watson. And this is after DeAndre Hopkins got traded. You already know the owner's not changing, and you still have your coach, Bill O'Brien. They gave you everything that you wanted. What has happened here in the last couple of months that changed? Did it come down to ownership didn't listen to him, didn't give him an opportunity? He wanted to have a hand, at least a voice in who you were hiring as a head coach? I mean, does this come down to you didn't like who they were hiring? The fact that they didn't interview Eric Bieniemy, Robert Saleh, who is the Jets head coach now? Because the ownership hasn't changed. Did something come out about the ownership that changed Deshaun Watson? Is it a culmination of everything? But if you look at what the Texans did, they gave Deshaun Watson everything that he wanted. And if Deshaun thought you just traded DeAndre Hopkins, this coach is not a good GM, we don't have cap space, I don't have marquee players here, so why sign the contract? Did something come out? Did something happen? This ownership has been there. That hasn't changed. And maybe you learned something that you didn't like. Or maybe you realized, I get to get out of a burning building here. Not that I set the fire, but I'm an accessory. Yeah, McLevin.
There's a lot of reporting on that GM situation where that search firm found Omar Khan and Louis Riddick, and they ignored it and hired Nick Caserio, both of whom were African-American or minorities, and they ignored that and signed Nick Caserio. So I think that people are connecting dots that upset him.
But that changed the last 2 months, that's what drove him to, I got to get out of here?
All we have is his cryptic tweets to go by, and that something started to change in his social media.
Okay. But remember, I go back to James Harden, and one of the reasons why he wanted out reportedly was ownership. Like, I don't think he agreed with the politics of the owner in Houston. I haven't heard anything since then when he got out, but that was supposed to be part of this, whether that was true or not. Can you factor that in with Deshaun Watson with the ownership there? You took their money 5 months ago. Did you just find out something about them or their politics or that they didn't listen to you? I don't know. It's one of those that will get the story probably after this story is completed, then we'll probably get the story of what was going on. When there's some distance here, I don't think Deshaun Watson gets traded. Yes, he.
You know, when you look at each one of those things that you just listed individually, you're like, well, I don't know if that's enough, but the cumulative effect of all of those things piling up, eventually one thing is going to be like, damn, that's it. That's enough. I'm done. I'm out. There's going to be a last straw.
Well, I would have thought that if you had Bill O'Brien and you had Bill O'Brien as the GM and some of the moves that were made, it's not like you go, gosh, look at what we just did. We did something great. And I think Deshaun Watson probably looked around and went, here's Mahomes, who's my contemporary. He's got all these weapons. He's going to be in another Super Bowl. He's been an MVP. And Deshaun Watson's probably saying, I'd like to have some weapons here.
That's why I'm going to the Jets. Oh, wait, never mind.
McLovin.
I mean, you just painted a pretty good football picture for wanting out, too. Like, maybe that's why.
No, I understand. I would have wanted out, but I wouldn't have signed the contract. He was going to get that money no matter where he was going to go.
But they were coming off like a bunch of division titles in a row. They had a 24-0 lead on the Chiefs. No one knew the team. I don't think they understood how bad the team was going to get.
Well, but I put some blame on him and his agent to say, are you sure you want to sign this? Yeah? Yes, he.
I wonder, though, I mean, we are coming off of the whole Dak Prescott situation, right? Where he's not signing a new deal and he's not doing all this stuff, and then he gets hurt. If I'm a quarterback like Deshaun Watson or a player like Deshaun Watson and I've got over $100 million staring me in the face, I'll sign that real quick and then get my way out when I'm unhappy later.
Yeah.
I'll take that money up front for sure.
Brett Favre had some comments here. This was courtesy of Yahoo Sports on Deshaun Watson's trade demand.
I'm kind of old school. I think, you play, you get paid a ton of money to do a certain job. And just do it and let the chips fall where they may. I think we make too much money to voice an opinion, but I'm not saying he's wrong. I think it's a different day and time, and it'll be interesting to see how the organization handles it.
Okay, I don't know what Brett is saying here. On one hand, it's basically, hey, shut up and play football, you make a ton of money. And then on the other hand, he says, but I understand where he's coming from. And before I get into, Brett Favre's situation with Green Bay, that he wanted out and he wanted to play and stay in the NFC North because he wanted to stick it to the Packers. But Favre was 36, 37 years of age. He had won a Super Bowl. He'd been an MVP a few times. And they had drafted Aaron Rodgers here. Deshaun Watson didn't go through any of that, hasn't accomplished any of that, at the ripe old age of 25. But Favre's saying basically, hey, you make all this money, that should be good enough. And then to come back and say, but I understand where he's coming from. Yes,
Deshaun Watson's extension is basically what Brett Favre made in his entire career.
Yeah.
So I always wonder, whenever I hear a retired quarterback talk about somebody else's money, I wonder how much of that is like, this dude makes a hell of a lot more money than I ever made. And I just wonder how much of that is a factor.
Oh, the fact that, hey, you should be happy, just play football.
You make $40 million a year, and most I made was like 16 or something like that,
But I think we do that with everybody. Hey, James Harden, hey, you're making 40, you're going to make $50 million a year. You're the one that wanted this with the Houston Rockets. You're the one that had guys traded. You had guys traded out. You guys had traded guys traded in. You wanted all of this. You wanted this style. You wanted that coach, all of these things. And then he decides that he wants out. There's player empowerment here, which I certainly understand, and it took a long time for them to get that. And I think that's what you're seeing with some of these players. It's just with the amount of money that you're being paid, it's hard to make that happen where you go, all right, we'll just trade him. You can't just do that. It's not that simple. But with Deshaun Watson, he wants out. I don't blame him for wanting out, but I would have wanted out earlier. Not all of a sudden you wake up and you go, nope. That's it. I want out of here. Yeah, Paul.
And I think Favre mentioned it, but it's not even close to the same era that he played in, where players took the contract. There was no social media. They didn't have a chance to voice their opinion in any way. And no one really differed with teams 25 years ago when Brett Favre was that age. It really is different. And Favre does acknowledge that. Hey, it's a different time. But that's the big difference, is that he had no outlet for it.
And he went to the Jets, and then he wanted to stay in the NFC North. Then he went to the Vikings because he wanted to stick it to the Green Bay Packers. Now they've since, mended their friction or animosity or however you would describe it. But with Deshaun Watson, and now what do? You force their hand? Are you willing to sit out? And I think the most that he could lose is around $2.5 million if he were to sit out the season. And I think, as Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network tweeted out a couple of weeks ago, like that's what it's going to come down to. Are you willing to call their bluff? And are they willing to call your bluff? Chris Sims, Pro Football Talk, said that from what he's told, Deshaun Watson will sit out the season if he's not traded. Yeah, McLevin.
What if the best offers from the Jets, who are rebuilding, and the Texans say, Deshaun, will you take that? But he wants to go to San Francisco, who is not going to have as good an offer to make. Like, how are they going to resolve that? Because the worst teams have the better offers.
Well, the fact that you have a no trade clause, too.
Right. That confuses everything, right?
Yes.
The Jets can make a great package. Sam Darnold and 4 first-rounders. But Deshaun might not want to rebuild.
Yeah, because you can't say, hey, I want out of here. I don't know. You can't look at the Jets and say, boy, that's a model of consistency. And boy, I love the ownership there and all the great moves that they've made. Yeah, Paulie.
I've been thinking about this. And I don't know if this is even legal. If you're Deshaun Watson's agent, do you start calling GMs quietly and saying, look, if you put together a package, my client will say yes to your team? Like, I would think that's how it works. I don't think this is just some haphazard process. I would guess that Watson's agent is on the phone with John Lynch or someone with the Niners saying, look.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I wonder if that's legal, or is it like we agree to disagree?
Well, that's always where, these free agent signing period, then at 12:01, somebody signs a contract and you're going, wow, in 60 seconds, they negotiated a contract. That's incredible. No, this stuff goes on all the time. And you could go through a third party if you want to. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to trace your calls. All right,